Welcome back, my friends, to the Predictive Playbook. I'm your host, John Ryan. I have Dr. Chuck here, and we're going to be giving you 2 free picks in college football action. I'm not going to delay it another second. Dr. Chuck, I know you have a game for us. Tell us where we should be betting.
So for those of you that have my all-access package or were with me this past weekend, you're going to recognize a similar play. We're going to be back on the Cowboys of Wyoming, back home in Laramie this weekend. They host the Ball State Cardinals. We sure did think we had a nice, easy win with the Cowboys this past week. Got up by 4 scores and then ended up with a push at the end. But they put up a 50 spot on Northern Illinois on the road. And they get a second straight week of action, but this time back home. And we're focusing on the offense versus defense. They have a big advantage against that Ball State defense that's a bit porous. In addition to the factor that I like the most, I think, is as far as the MAC conference goes this season, in the West, it's probably going to be Ball State or Toledo. And Ball State has to travel to Laramie to play with Wyoming this week, where they're going to be 6-point dogs, and they host Toledo next week and know that they're going to need that game. And so extra incentive to fade them in a look-ahead spot, in addition to the fact that Wyoming's back home. I think this line should probably be 9 or 10. So I think getting that -6 on the Cowboys to go 3-0 this season is a great spot to get a win there.
Oh, I love it. I love it, Dr. Chuck. You know, you make it convincing, too, that I want to put it down on my blotter and actually make sure that I put a little action on that bet because it makes total sense to me. What doesn't make sense to me is Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And Notre Dame, 2 weeks in a row, I have bet successfully against them. I actually went out on a limb on the Manny's Pub Show and predicted that Toledo would actually win outright. Unfortunately, that didn't quite happen, but they had their chances. They really did have their chances. So I think what we're going to hear this week is, Purdue Boilermakers are 2-0, and they're going to attempt to defy the odds as they have to play the mighty Notre Dame Fighting Irish. But I'll tell you what, as 7-point underdogs, I think the line immediately told me that this is another bet against Notre Dame. They're not playing real well. Karen Williams is their leading rusher. He's averaging 42 yards a game, and this is Notre Dame. So I think they have some major issues going on, and their execution has not been good. And we all know that Coach Kelly was trying to be funny when he said about the execution thing, and of course that went viral. And I do feel sorry for the guy when you're just trying to you just finished a game where you barely won against Florida State, and you get set up like that.
Yeah,
that was kind of nuts. But Purdue head coach Braum is 15-5 against the spread as an underdog. Since being at Purdue, I like that. Coach Kelly, 14-28 when the total is 56.5 to 63. That does reflect their defensive woes as well. He's also 8-9 off a home no cover where the team won as a favorite in all games he has coached in his career. And lastly, road underdogs of 3.5 to 10 points. In this case, that's obviously Purdue in a non-conference game after playing a non-conference game. 51-20, 72% last 5 years. And real quick, if the team is an underdog of 3.5 to 10 points and was a good passing team from last year, averaging 250 or more passing yards per game, and has 8 of their offensive starters coming back, including the quarterback, this one's even better. 28-5 last 10 seasons, 85% winners. Chuck, it tells you to bet Purdue and sprinkle the money line along with it. So I like this game quite a bit.
Information from JR there. Oh, I love that play so much. In general, I like betting Purdue because people think, bottom of the Big Ten crap. But I think you not only did you bring it up, but what did we learn about Notre Dame almost choking that game away and what Jacksonville State did? So I mean, yeah, you can argue letdown spot for both teams, and they both showed their letdown, and they both could have come away with losses. But the public loves to bet Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a hugely bet team. They have their own station, and they're only laying 7 points. That's what
and they're at home.
I like to call fade the bag. Vegas is here, come get this easy -7 on the Irish.
Yeah, I like it quite a bit. We'll have to talk about more later this week too. See how the lines have moved, but I think you're going to get better than 7. I wouldn't be surprised 7.5. More importantly, folks, you can get this deal now at SportsMemo.com. In other words, you could get Dr. Chuck and myself at this ridiculously good price of $199. It was $357. That's the rest of September football, NFL, and college football for $199. Chuck does extraordinarily well with it. NFL last year, I was number one at SportsMemo at 65.8% against the number. So I promise you, we'll do our best to do very, very well for you. And there's a lot of track record behind Dr. Chuck and myself that is not hype. It's fact, and that's what we produce. And he produces incredible results in his own right. So get over to sportsmemo.com and get on board with us, and you'll be glad you did. So, Dr. Chuck, thank you for your time. And on behalf of Dr. Chuck, myself, the Predictive Playbook, sportsmemo.com, and wagertalk.com, may all the wins be yours.